Hello, this is Christopher Poche from the University of Louisville Libraries. In this video, we will learn how to search the library's databases and catalog for scholarly articles and books for your research topic in your field of study. But before going into the details of doing this kind of research, let's discuss the nature of scholarly resources. First, let's look at an example of a scholarly research article, Conspiratorial Thinking and Political Constraint by Adam Enders. What features of this resource identify it as scholarly? One such feature is the abstract, which describes the intention of the author and the subject of the article. This abstract notes that the author wants to investigate the relationship between conspiratorial thinking and the overall political awareness of those most likely to engage in that kind of thinking. The author notes that previous research has established that conspiratorial thinking crosses partisan and ideological divides, and that he intends to examine more closely why this is the case. This is a key feature of scholarly articles. They add new knowledge to an ongoing scholarly conversation. This article is published in Public Opinion Quarterly. If we Google this title, we find that this publication is an academic journal published by the Oxford University Press, one of the most prominent scholarly publishers. The journal's website notes that the publication is peer-reviewed. This means that the articles it contains undergo a formal review process involving other scholars who read and judge those articles to be relevant to the field and that their research is sound. Another feature of a scholarly article like this one is the extensive use of other resources concerning the topic. When we scroll to the end of the article, we find a bibliography listing references to these other resources. The author used these resources to situate himself within a larger scholarly conversation about this topic. By engaging with and citing peer-reviewed sources like this in your own research, you are participating in the scholarly conversation as well. Now that we have an understanding of what scholarly peer-reviewed resources are, we can focus on finding them. Your research begins at the University Library's website, which can be found at library.louisville.edu. The library's website has two key strengths that will make your research more effective than research you might do on the internet. One, the library will give you greater access to scholarly resources. These resources are expensive, and your tuition dollars enable the library to purchase access to them. Though you may be able to find some of these resources with internet search engines such as Google, you will often run into a paywall and not be able to read whole articles for free. Another advantage of the library is that its databases are curated by subject specialists who have decided that the resources the database contains are relevant and useful for academic research. By comparison, an internet search engine will comb the web for any occurrence of the search terms you use and thus produce millions of results, and it will be difficult to limit these results. Library databases produce fewer results and also provide tools to further limit these results so that you can make them more manageable. Before using the library's databases, it is good to develop a general search strategy by deciding upon a simple set of keywords. Let's say you have chosen to research the effects conspiracy theories have had on American elections. The keywords you will want to use for your search will be the most important ideas and concepts from your topic. In this case, American elections and conspiracy theories. These keywords are a good start, but it is a good idea to consider both some broader and narrower terms as well, in case your initial search produces only a small number of results or a very large number. Some broader terms would include simply elections, without the qualifier American, and politics. Some narrower terms might include presidential, congressional, and 2016, to focus on particular elections. Doing research is a skill, and finding the best resources requires flexibility and persistence. Sometimes it requires trying different combinations of broad and narrow keywords until you find what you need. This may seem daunting at first, but you will find that it gets easier with each research project you try. It will also be helpful to consider what subject area your topic falls under. The library's resources were organized around academic subject areas, so you will need to think about what subject areas are relevant to your research topic. What kind of researchers are working on the effect of conspiracy theories on elections? Political scientists and historians are likely to be interested in this topic. Now that you have developed your search strategy, you can apply it to finding sources through the library. If you are working at home when doing your research, it is a good idea to begin by logging in the library's website so you are recognized as a member of the U of L community who should have access to the library's databases and their full-text content. Go to Accounts at the top right side of the screen and click Off-Campus Login. Enter your ULink ID and password here. The best place to get started finding scholarly, peer-reviewed articles is our subject guides, which can be found on the left side of the page under Quick Tools. The subject guides categorize library databases by subject area, making it easier for you to find the most relevant resources for your research topic. Remember that we identified political science as one of the subject areas for research on American elections and conspiracy theories. When we click on the Political Science Subject Guide, we find that 4 databases have been recommended, with a link for even more databases to consider. If you hover your cursor over one of the database links, a little box appears to inform you about the kinds of information found in this database and about its time scope. Since in your class, your particular research project can be on any number of different subjects, I'm going to use EBSCO Academic Search Complete, which is a general database that covers a broad range of academic topics. You can find EBSCO Academic Search Complete and other multidisciplinary databases on the Any Topic Subject Guide. The database opens to a search page that includes 3 search boxes. We can now enter the keywords we have identified from our research strategy. First, we'll enter American elections in the first box and conspiracy theories in the second, and then click Search. This search produces just 19 results, a very manageable set compared to the nearly 34,000 results produced by a similar Google search. Since your project requires that you use academic sources, you can further limit this search to just those kinds of sources by clicking the Scholarly Peer-Reviewed Journals box on the left side of the screen. Note that you can further refine your search using other criteria, such as full text availability and publication date. But selecting scholarly journals already gives us a very focused set of just 6 results. At this point, you can start to examine the individual results to determine their relevance to your project. The article we examined at the beginning of our discussion is the second result from this search. Let's take a closer look. Click the article title in order to access more information. The next page presents lots of information about this article, including a list of subject terms. You can use such subject terms in addition to the keywords you have already brainstormed in other searches. Also included on this page is the abstract. It is always a good idea to read the abstract to get a quick overview of the article. This will enable you to decide if the article will be useful to you without having to read the whole thing. If you decide that the article is indeed relevant to your research topic, you can start reading it by clicking the HTML or PDF links on the left side of the screen, or you can save it to read later by clicking one of the various options on the right side of the screen. These options include saving it directly to your computer, a flash drive or Google Drive, emailing yourself a copy, or just printing a copy. Another useful option on the right side of the screen is the Cite button. Click this to get a citation in any number of citation styles, including MLA and Chicago styles. You can copy and paste the citation into your research paper, but be sure to check the citation to make sure everything is correct. Though the EBSCO database has full text access to a great many of the articles it finds, in some cases it provides only bibliographic information. When we go back to our search results, notice that the first article in the list has no links to HTML or PDF full text. Instead, there is the Find It at U of L button. Though EBSCO may not have access to the full text, it is possible that another database that the libraries subscribes to does. In the case of the first article, the libraries has access to it via the Cambridge Journals database. Unfortunately, sometimes the libraries does not have access to an article, but in that case you can still request the article via our Interlibrary Loan service. Click the Request Item through Interlibrary Loan button, fill out the form to place a request, and we will try to get the article from another library. We'll send you a PDF copy of the article, usually within 5 days. Let's now switch to finding books using the library's catalog. When we return to the library's homepage, we will use the search box at the center of the screen. We'll click the Books tab so that our search is limited to books and enter our keywords. This search produces just 5 results, and a quick glance at the titles suggests that these books may only superficially touch upon our topic. Fortunately, since we developed a research strategy, we can readily adapt and try to broaden the search with some of our other keywords. Let's try removing American elections and substitute the broader term politics. This search produces a larger set of 109 results. That's a lot of books, but let's just scroll through the results and see what we find. As I scroll down the list, note that on the left side of the screen, there are various limiting tools similar to those we saw in EBSCO that enable us to narrow the search if the titles we're seeing don't appear relevant. But by the 7th result, we find a promising title published just 2 years ago, The Psychology of Conspiracy Theories. The record we see here includes a general description of the book, which, like an article abstract, can help us determine if it is relevant to our topic. The record also includes a note that the libraries owns this title. It is important to remember that our catalog searches libraries worldwide to find all sources available. The record also notes that the book is available and can be found on the 3rd floor of Ekstrom Library with its call number. At this point, you can choose to find the book on our shelves and check it out, or you can decide to keep searching while simply taking note of the book by clicking the Save or Email buttons. If you click Save, you will begin generating a list of books that is saved for you in My Items. If you click Email, you can have a citation for the book emailed to yourself. Also note that you can generate a citation by clicking the Cite button. Remember, I noted that doing research is a skill that you develop. Your skill will grow and become more effective with each research project you undertake as you apply your experience doing one project to another project. But you don't have to do it all alone. U of L librarians are available to help you be successful in your research. If you click the Ask a Librarian link at the right side of the library's homepage, you will find a number of different ways to communicate with a librarian and receive help. You can chat with a librarian from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on weekdays. Alternatively, you can email a question or call one of the 6 individual U of L libraries. Finally, you can schedule an appointment with a librarian for more in-depth help. Thank you for your attention and good luck with your research.